Here's your host, Rob Blackman.
Hi, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to what is a standing room only walk-ons here in the Purdue Memorial Union. First and foremost, thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. This is the best crowd we have had all season. Thank you. Time to talk Purdue basketball with head coach Matt Painter. He'll be joining me over the next 55 minutes as we talk about the Boilermakers. Purdue currently 21-1 on the season and now 10-1 in Big Ten action. After a couple of wins last week doing the Michigan two-step. First of all, beating the Michigan Wolverines in Ann Arbor on Thursday, and then coming back Sunday afternoon with a win at Mackey Arena against Michigan State. So we'll talk to Coach Painter about those things. Also, we'll look ahead to the schedule this week, which, as is typical this time of the season, is loaded with good competition. Penn State coming to Mackey Arena Wednesday night for a 6:30 tip-off, and then Saturday afternoon in Bloomington to face the Indiana Hoosiers. So lots to talk about with Coach Matt Painter. As always, the Coach Painter Show is brought to you by GEMCO Constructors. If you'd like to visit with Coach Painter tonight, you may do so by calling us at 1-888-246-2678, 1-888-246-2678. We'll talk with Coach Painter about his #1 ranked Boilermakers on the other side of this break. This is the Matt Painter Show on the Purdue Global Sports Network, and this is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Always a lot of movement, Jay, with this team on offense.
Great job screening.
Tried to shoot. Jenkins.
Got to keep this kid out of the lane.
Under the 5-minute mark before halftime. Smith to first. Oh, dropping a dime to 80. Masterfully done by First.
The pass that leads to the pass. Blooming large. Send it in.
Hauser, if you've just joined us, 0 of 2 shooting, still looking for his first points. Walker slices in. My goodness.
Billy. Goodness, what he can do. Great poise, balance.
Guys, tells me he's not going to be accepting of that. Michigan State has a couple of fouls to give here. 5 seconds. Smith, Jenkins, he buries it.
Got to keep this kid out of the lane. He's got some magic. Nice replace. Jenkins, number 14. Future analyst.
Jenkins on a 3.
Pressure. So it's got to be sound defense on this end and maybe get some open floor opportunities. Back screen lob. Lawyer. How about that? And this one, just as you meant, Lawyer. A terrific job.
Team possibly have been unranked to begin the season, and the main reason was their guards. People didn't know what these two kids would be early on.
Nice play.
80 on the catch and finish.
The offense overall is the assistants, but special situation.
What a matchup developing between those two on the box.
How about the balance? Great hustle by Ray.
Here comes Lawyer, weaving through traffic all the way to the right.
Welcome back to the Matt Painter Radio Show presented by GEMCO. Live tonight at standing room only walk-ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. And walk-ons, it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. Not surprised we have a full house tonight, considering earlier today we found out that Purdue became the first team all season to be a unanimous #1 selection in the Associated Press poll. Unanimous. That means everyone thinks Purdue's the best in the country. However, long way to go. Still 9 regular season games left for our Boilermakers. Right now, Purdue atop the Big Ten standings at 10-1. Purdue head coach Matt Painter is alongside. You can visit with the coach if you'd like. Call us at 1-888-246-2678. Coach, 2 crucial wins this past week against Michigan and Michigan State, winning in Ann Arbor 75-70, and then winning yesterday against the Spartans 77-61. The one common denominator I picked up from both of those games, Coach, the play of your bench yesterday. 21 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists from the subs. At Michigan, 23 points, 14 rebounds against Michigan. Your bench has been really good the last 2 games.
Yeah, no question. Obviously, David Jenkins really gave us a lift, made that big 3 going into halftime against Michigan State. But, those guys, some teams have 3 or 4 starters, and everybody has to start 5 people. Then some team have, 7, 8, 9 starters. We feel like we have 9 starters. And so Mason Gillis has started a full season. Brandon Newman started a full season. Trey Kaufman-Wren just hasn't quite got the opportunity because of who he plays behind and being in that loaded front court. David Jenkins is 70 to 80 points away from 2,000 points. 2,000 points is a lot in college.
Right.
And so, we have a lot of experience, but it's hard. I always say this, it's hard to be consistent when you get inconsistent minutes. And people are like, well, what's wrong with him? Well, one night he might play 9 minutes, one night he might play 17, one night he might play 13. It's just hard to get that groove, but that's life coming off the bench. And you have to get things figured out. And I think that's where we are. I think those guys are starting to get some things figured out. They're starting to get into rhythms while they're out there. The thing that you can't do when you come off the bench is you can't try to do too much. You got to get adjusted to the game. You got to keep things simple. You got to play to your strengths. And if you can do that, you're going to help your team, but you're also going to help yourself. And that's what that trust comes in to where you got guys out there that are going to follow through and do their job and not always just load up the minutes for those starters, because it's important. It's important for those guys to at least maintain a lead or grow a lead. But you come in, then all of a sudden – you got those guys in a 4 to 6 minute stretch where the starters are resting and they can't extend things and they make it worse. Now that's how you see coaches as the year goes on, that their rotations start to shrink. And they're like, well, why don't they keep playing people? Why don't they play people more there? Because it's, you got guys coming off the bench not doing that. Well, for us, it looks like we're kind of going in the other direction, to where we're starting to make better decisions. We're starting to kind of get into those grooves, and then it's only going to extend those guys' minutes and really help their cause.
Before we go to the phones, I have to ask, because you played with some great players when you played here at Purdue. You've coached some great players here at Purdue. You've seen some outstanding individual performances. But Zach Edey's performance yesterday, 38 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, a block shot,
Right.
0 turnovers. Where would you personally rank that individual performance?
Yeah, obviously it was a great game. It's one of the best games probably in Mackey Arena. Through the years. Obviously, you don't see every games for the people that came before you. You don't see all those games with it. But I'd put it up with the thing that Carson Edwards was able to do when he got going in the NCAA tournament. He did it in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
That's what made it so special when he got hot like that. I played with Glenn Robinson, so obviously you saw something special every day. Especially in practice. The way he could simply score the basketball. But no, that was impressive. Because they tried to double, then they didn't double, and they kind of mixed it up, and he just stayed with it. He just dominated them. And, he can have more games like that. It just depends on how people are going to defend him, and he just needs to stay aggressive.
Well, then that is bad news for the rest of the Big Ten if he can have more games like that. Let's go to the phones. Drew and Raleigh is first up. Drew, welcome. You're on with Coach Painter.
Hi, Coach. I know you and Rob are both big fans of college basketball history, so I thought it was worth mentioning. Have the best start overall to a season of any Big Ten team since Ohio State in 2011. So congrats to the whole team on all the success so far this year. My question tonight is, in the last 2 years, your teams have been the best in the country at rebounding and free throw differential, 2 things that don't always get talked about as much. When you first started at Purdue, these were areas that vintage Tom Izzo and Bo Ryan teams really made their money, so to speak. I was wondering if you could maybe just speak to what really allows you guys to be so successful at rebounding and getting to the foul line, as well as in general, kind of what your process looks like as a coach to continue to evolve and further grow your own basketball IQ from the success other teams have against you, or you maybe noticed from around the country, like those teams are really good at. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, first of all, sometimes I call it killing the dragon. It means you just kind of keep going back to the well. You keep throwing the basketball inside. And then sometimes when you struggle with it, people want to go away from it. Now, you got to feel good enough about the person you keep going to. So A.J. Hammonds, Caleb Swanigan, Isaac Haas, Zach Edey, Travion Williams, guys of that nature, because no matter who you are, there's always going to be some struggles. And do you feel good enough about them where they can keep going to the well and give you a chance to score, but also give you a chance to accumulate a lot of fouls? Zach gets fouled a lot. So, we want to see his backup, and we want to get into the bonus early. So, you got to be able to steal points. So if you can steal points at the free throw line, and then if you can steal points on the offensive glass, so if you have an efficient offense where you can run offense and get quality shots and not turn the ball over, and then you can offensive rebound also, you're going to be a dangerous team because now you're really putting a stressor on them by just being an efficient offensive team and scoring the ball initially. Now you're putting that double stressor on them by being able to hit the glass. The thing about doubling or scraping ball side when people are in the post, if shots do go up, there's not great rebound balance for the defense. They're not in place. That's why you see some people that don't double. You're like, what are they doing? They're keeping their rebound balance in order. So if he misses it, they can get it. Now if you come down and you mess with the basketball or you half double or whatever you do, or you're just late, now when shots go up, the ball's got a chance to go in, and then they don't have as good a chance to be able to get it because they're scrambling around and they're not in good rebound balance. So that's the rebound disparity, which we have the best in the country, and we're the best rebounding team in the country. You have to have personnel too. So you can do a lot of good things as a coach, and if you don't have the horses, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't. You got to have some people that have physical talent that can do it. And then we obviously have the best big guy in the country. We've had other good big guys before him. Our front line is very good. I said that at the beginning of the year. I just said, I think we have one of the best front lines in the country. We'll see, because proof's in the pudding. You got to still go out and prove it, and I think they've done a great job. But you also have to have some guys sacrifice. Like Mason Gillis doesn't play as much as he used to. Trey Kaufman-Wren, if he stays healthy, he'll be an all-conference player at Purdue. I'm convinced of that. He is a really good player, but you only get 80 minutes on your front line. Caleb First has really improved defensively and really gives us a spark with his energy. And so when you look at the rebound and you look at the free throw disparity, we have good players there. And so we want to keep trying to get the basketball inside and play through those guys, but also have a balance, whether we play through ball screens with Braden or run Fletch off screens, and then play off of that with our skill. And it makes it enjoyable. It really does. It makes it enjoyable when you got some guys that can put the ball in the hoop, but you also got guys that have great effort that can get on the glass and make people pay.
A really good point there by Drew. Just to back up what Drew's talking about, Purdue #1 in the country in free throws allowed per game to the opponent. The opponent averages 9.6 free throws a game against Purdue. Now, yesterday, Michigan State got 16, but that's a rarity. Normally, that number is 10 or less. We will take a break. More with Coach Painter in a moment. Coach Painter Show is brought to you by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Too much analysis early from you.
A little bit, yeah. We took the over early.
They're going to play him straight up.
It is one-on-one. Edey wins the first.
And they've been working on that chest move.
Doesn't let you get to the line too much.
They got to flash that middle, even though Edey's low. And they do. Nice disperse.
Ethan Morton bags a three.
How about that screen?
And then Edey repels that ball. And now Newman, who got knocked down, gets knocked down again.
How about this roadblock? Catch your chicklets. And, of course, the anticipated dive when they can get it. You need somebody else to get going here. Don't leave your feet.
Baker was fortunate there. Now that's denied by Mason Gillis, who starts the second half. So Gillis starts the second half instead of Caleb First.
Don't leave him alone.
Because of that.
Talk about a second half player, though. He's usually good giving it up early or late.
Morton missed it. Taken by Michigan. Here comes Williams with the head up for Baker into the three, and it's blocked away by Lawyer.
No, that I think
was Gillis.
Gillis.
You lose one guy, and suddenly open look down the lane. Edey redirects it.
Nice tip to himself, Lawyer. Leading him to spots, beating him before he sets up, chesting him.
Jenkins knocks down a three.
I tell you, early in the year, this kid, he's making some shots. He's a confident player.
Mark that one. It was an 8-point game, 63-55. See if Purdue scores here. Kaufman-Wren, a rim run, and a foul.
Quite the same size. This kid's got a feel for the game. Whew. Little pocket pass right to the rim. The first time they played with the two bigs.
That's the first shot in 8 minutes for Kobe Buffkin.
Oh, what's this blow by? Ooh, crossover. Dynamite.
It's the Matt Painter Show. Welcome, everyone, live tonight on this Monday from walk-ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. Everyone needs a little playing time, so before a Purdue basketball game or any time throughout the week, stop by walk-ons here in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. I'm Rob Blackman. Coach Painter's alongside. You can visit with the coach tonight by calling us at 1-888-246-2678. We did have a question, Coach, from right here in our live in-studio audience today, or in-restaurant audience. Wanting just your thoughts on Brandon Brantley and what he means to this program, especially when you consider how many good big men Purdue has had over the last 10, 11, 12 years, and the one constant with that group has been Coach Brantley.
Yeah, he's done a fabulous job with those guys, and he really builds a great rapport with them, and he's a truth teller. I think that's a real important, thing to have when you're dealing with young people. Like, you don't have to beat them over the head with things and be so brash and forward. You just have to be honest with them, especially when nobody else is around. And the thing that happens we talk about it with officials, talk about it with coaches, but it really holds true with players, is that eye in the sky does not lie. That film does not lie. So players can say whatever they want, and you watch that with them, and you sit down and say, okay, this is what we're doing in post defense. Would you please explain to me what you're doing? Because you're not sticking to our rules. You're not sticking to what we're doing. And there's a lot of different scenarios that come up, whether that's ball screen defense, post defense, running the floor. And so you'll see guys that want more, and then say they play 15 minutes, and you'll pull 4 clips in the game with them and say, well, you're jogging here and you're jogging there, and you're running half speed here, and you don't throw your hands up here, like shouldn't you be just maxing out? And he's great at really building relationships with those guys, trusting them. He does a great job, obviously, because he's done it himself, and he's been through the wars. And he was he's not slight right now, but he was slight when he playing the center position.
Yeah,
so,
right.
He was going against Rashard Griffith. He was going against Chris Webber. And you had to work. Him and Stanback were down there at 6'8", 6'9", and they had to work, man. They had to really play post defense and battle those guys, and they were giving up some LBs, and so he's always working with those guys, whether it's one-on-one or film, and he just puts in a lot of time, and and he maxed out as a player. He played 10 years overseas, got to his ceiling, and that's what you want to do as a player. People always say, how many pros do you have, or this or that. It's just getting them to max out and play to the best of their ability. And he's done a great job in kind of that mentorship on and off the court with those big guys.
Matt, stay on the line because you're going to be next with Coach after we come back from this commercial break. We'll just step aside for 2 minutes here. It's the Matt Painter Show presented by the Purdue Global Sports Network. And this is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Too much analysis early from you.
A little bit, yeah. We took the over early.
They're going to play him straight up.
It is one-on-one. 80 wins the first.
And they've been working.
Pretty good defensive instincts as a shot blocker.
Burry's his defender here because he dips in and locks you.
Spun to the ball there. Now leaning on Dickinson for 2 more.
And how patient is he, too? He's a powerful kid. A nice helping in. Morton with Edie.
And then they take it back again.
Shot by McDaniel. Too deep.
Right into Edie, and he somehow had enough.
How about that screen?
Two shooting, still looking for his first points. Walker slices in. My goodness.
Goodness, what he can do.
Open look down the lane. Edie redirects it.
Nice tip to himself, Lawyer.
Last game, he had a great impact without scoring. Today, he comes in off the bench and drills a 3.
Boy, another steal for...
Refeed Edie.
Cheddar did a nice job staying on first. This kid, got to keep this kid out of the lane.
Under the 5-minute mark before halftime. Smith to first. Oh, dropping a dime.
Leading him to spots, beating him before he sets up, chesting him.
Jenkins knocks down a 3.
This is a heck of an offensive player, Lawyer. Look at his step.
Oh, just rang it off the window.
He reached from the foul line. He gets some open floor opportunities. Back screen lob. Say goodnight. Lawyer, how about that? And this one, just as you meant, Lawyer, a terrific job.
Know what these two kids would be early on.
Nice play.
Eating on the catch and finish.
The offense overall is the assistants, but special situations.
Let's see how they attack him here.
Welcome back to the Matt Pater Show, presented by GEMCO. Live tonight at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. GEMCO Constructors is supporting your Boilermakers as the presenting sponsor of the Matt Pater Show and proud partner of Purdue Athletics. GEMCO Constructors says boiler up. We were talking about Zach Edey earlier, talking about Coach Brantley, coaching up Zach Edey, and I probably should bring this to your attention. You may already know this, but earlier today, Zach Edey was named the Big Ten Player of the Week for a 5th time this season. 5 times Zach has been named the Big Ten Player of the Week, and also today he was named the Dickie V Star of the Week, the NCAA March Madness Player of the Week, and the Naismith Award National Player of the Week. So pretty good week for Zach Edey, considering the numbers he put up in the last 2 games against Michigan and Michigan State. With that, let's go back to the phones. Matt in South Bend joins the show next. Matt, welcome. You're on with Coach Painter.
Congratulations, Coach. Really appreciate watching the game and seeing Caleb first pass off to Zach and put it in. It's just the teamwork. It's just amazing. It just is so refreshing and such a great joy to watch him play. So I saw where also Zach got a little bit of a bloody lip, and I know was seeing that one shoulder move that was taken out Fletcher, but these guys really tough it out. Great team to watch, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your phone call.
Interesting note, he mentioned the pass. And I thought it was interesting. You did it in a couple of different ways this week, Coach. At Michigan, just 7 assists for the entire game for our Boilermakers on 27 made buckets. Yesterday, 21 assists on 29 made baskets. Everyone that played except 2 had an assist in that game. You did a very good job sharing the ball, I thought, yesterday.
Yeah, I thought we did, and I'm just trying to – obviously, I went back and watched the tape of Michigan also. I didn't realize that we only had 7 assists in that game. But, sometimes, different styles, different nights, just kind of the moving variables, right? There's a lot of things going on in a basketball game. Sometimes you have more assists than other nights. But I thought our guys did a great job of just sharing the basketball. And really, since they were staying one-on-one with Zach, playing through Zach. Mm-hmm. And so it's a little different. Like when you get in those games against a guy like Hunter Dickinson, Hunter Dickinson wants to be in the game. He needs to be in the game. When you get against people that have kind of center by committee, and so they'll have like 3 or 4 centers, they're going to be more aggressive, more physical. Sure. And so, I think that's the, what we really kind of talk about Zach, because some things can happen in the game. Almost everything that you see, like 90% of what you see, you go and watch film, and that, what you're seeing on film is what's going to happen in your game. Yeah. It just is. But with Zach, sometimes people can handle him differently than they handle other people. So you have to be ready for what you think they're going to do, but you also have to be prepared for a lot of different things. And sometimes you just don't have that much time. You play Sunday afternoon, then you play, Wednesday early evening, and it's a quick turnaround. What's Penn State going to do? Well, we can tell you what they did the first time, and they might do that again. They might not do that again. And so, as a coach, you just, I think we're well versed in it, but there's still things out there that, you just have concerns because you don't always know what's coming.
With that, so let me follow up then. With Michigan State, it's a little different because we had just played them less than 2 weeks ago. But with Michigan, you put your game plan together. From a defensive standpoint, did Michigan give you what you thought they were going to give you?
Yeah, I thought they would stay one-on-one. Just because, Hunter could wall up and at 7'1", 260, and he could wall up and he knows angles, and then he could try to make him score over him. I thought what was great for Zach was he played to the middle. He played to that strong hand, that left shoulder right away, and they tried to take it away, and then he reverse pivoted and got those 2 lefty hooks right away. Really layups, not hooks. Yeah. He just spun off of them and got those hooks, and that's huge for him because now when they play him straight up and he can get to that left shoulder, that's the way he wants to go. But if they just overdo it, now if he can go back and just make that move and just make that simple move, because when he has that angle right there, he's going to go above him, and it's hitting and missing a layup. And he's missed a couple, obviously, but when when they decide to do something of that nature, that's great to see.
And Michigan State, did they play us basically the same way they did 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
I'm talking about Zach, obviously.
Yes, they doubled a little bit more. They held a little bit more. Sometimes they'll hold the guy in there. They won't go and actually collapse and box him in like we do. See, we double, and we double no matter who we play. It's a little different in how we double sometimes, but we're going to come in there. And the one thing when you have a great player like Zach, even though he can stay one-on-one and play against a lot of people defensively, I like to protect him. I prefer to see him in the game. And so we double, and sometimes there's a little risk with it. They can move the basketball and hit a three or do whatever. People are like, you're giving this up or you're giving that up. Maybe so, but he's going to stay in the game. Like, you want him. You want to keep your best player in the game. And that wasn't the case 2 years ago. He had a tough time staying in the game. You know, he's very, very foul prone. He's learned to play in ball screen defense and post defense, and he's just learned overall kind of the tricks of the trade, how to stay in the game and play foul. You know, if you can go in a game, we watched the Maryland game, and we felt like he got fouled 9 times in the game that didn't get called. Seven got called, and then I thought he fouled 3 times, and it didn't get called. So, like, he's getting a little bit of the benefit of the doubt and not getting calls against him because he's getting fouled on every play. And so, like, if they're going to give that up, and then people start complaining, like, well, hey, you're not going to call the foul on him? And it's like 3-1 almost every game. That game ended up being 3-1.
Yeah.
And I never really looked at it that way, but he's getting away with some things simply because they're getting away with 2 to 3 times as much. And so I'll take that trade sometimes. Like, you know what I mean? Because now if you go get him and you leave the other stuff alone, which isn't consistent and not fair, but we've all seen that happen, especially on the road.
Purdue Global is Purdue's accredited and affordable online solution for working adults. Persistence pays off at Purdue Global. While we have a quick second, let's get to our Pro Boilers feature, where we look at how former Purdue student-athletes are doing in their professional sports careers. Pro Boilers, presented by Indiana Kitchen Premium Pork Products. Get to know us at IndianaKitchen.com. Both our Pro Boilers and Indiana Kitchen are boiler-made. And today, or tonight I should say, we salute Adam Shank, the professional golfer, former Boilermaker. Played his final season here in 2014. Adam was an All-Big Ten performer for Boilermaker Golf, twice actually an All-Big Ten performer. In case you watch maybe this weekend at Torrey Pines, Adam did finish 20th in that event. He's currently 70th in the FedEx Cup standings, which maybe doesn't sound great, 70th, but keep in mind, only the top 120 make the playoffs at the end of the year. So Adam's in really good shape right there in the FedEx Cup standings. So Adam Shank, tonight we salute you as a Pro Boiler, and appreciate all you've done for Purdue University. More with Coach Painter in a moment when we return. Coach Painter Show brought to you by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Always a lot of movement, Jay, with this team on offense.
Great job
cutting it.
5 to shoot. Jenkins.
Got to keep this kid out of the lane.
Under the 5-minute mark before halftime. Smith to first. Oh, dropping a dime to 80. Masterfully done by First.
The pass that leads to the pass. Moving large. Send it in.
Hauser, if you've just joined us, 0 of 2 shooting, still looking for his first points. Walker slices in. My goodness.
Goodness, what he can do. Great poise, balance.
Guys, tells me he's not going to be accepting of that. Michigan State has a couple of fouls to give here. 5 seconds. Smith, Jenkins, he buries it.
Got to keep this kid out of the lane. He's got some magic. Nice replace. Jenkins, number 14. Future analyst.
Jenkins on a 3.
Pressure. So it's got to be sound defense on this end. And maybe get some open floor opportunities. Back screen lob. Say goodnight. Lawyer. How about that? Yeah, this one, just as you meant, Lawyer. A terrific job.
Team possibly have been unranked to begin the season, and the main reason was their guards. People didn't know what these 2 kids would be early on.
Nice play.
80 on the catch and finish.
The offense overall is the assistants, but special situation.
What a matchup developing between those 2 on the box.
How about the balance? Great hustle by Ray.
Here comes Lawyer, weaving through traffic all the way to the right.
This is the Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. The Boilermaker game yesterday, fans, against Michigan State. Most watched non-NFL sporting event on Sunday. It was in Chicago, CBS 2's most watched NCAA basketball game to date this season. Why? Because Chicago loves its Boilermakers. I think that's why. Speaking of Chicago and other places, those that are checking us out on the Facebook page tonight, or the YouTube page, or the Twitter page, thank you for letting us know where you're watching us from. I just checked it a little bit ago. I saw we had some folks from Virginia, someone checking in from Denver, someone checking in from Texas, someone from Lagodi, Indiana. All over the globe, folks checking us out tonight. So thank you, everyone, for watching us. Maybe via some of our different streams, as we can bring you some different platforms to watch the Matt Painter radio show. If you'd like to visit with the coach the old-fashioned way, you can call us on the phone, 1-888-246-2678. Coach, we did have a good one via the Facebook page, a good question I thought I want to bring to your attention. From a coaching standpoint, what is the process, or is there a process in which you're allowed to give feedback to the Big Ten concerning officiating, evaluating officials, what you like, what you don't like?
Right.
What's the formal process? How does that work?
Yeah, more or less at the end of the season, they kind of send you stuff to, they'll have clusters of officials that you can rank, like kind of a first tier, second tier, third tier, type guys. We write up stuff like per game and just about guys and how they were and things like that. I don't know if it means anything or not. You keep seeing the same guys that run out there, and so when you get caught up, it just depends on your margin for error. Like if you're not as talented, like it just means more. Like each possession, just means. And possessions are important, right? But if you have a better team and you have a more mature team and a team that doesn't turn the ball over, you can work through some tougher calls against you a little easier. And so, like when you're a little bit thin, you're not as deep, or things happen. Like if someone has a happy whistle, it's going to affect you more than people that are deep. Like I talked about, like trying to get their starter in foul trouble because a lot of people don't have a great backup big. Well, what if you do have a great backup big? That's such an advantage to have guys like we have coming off the bench that can come in and be productive. But you really got to keep your focus, like as a coach. And there's an old saying that you can coach, you can play, or you can ref, but you can only do one of them. And sometimes when you try to do more than one of them, you get in trouble.
Yeah. I will say this: you talk about other teams maybe not always having a quality backup big. Trey Kaufman-Renn the last two games has given you a quality backup big. He's given you great minutes.
No doubt. He was great against Michigan, and he'd had some rough patches. And once again, it's not a lot of minutes right there, and then that's what's not fair to him because he needs to get out there and play and work through some things. And it's difficult when Zach's sitting over there when he comes out because Zach's been so productive. But no, he's done some really good things for us in the last two games.
He's been awfully good, as have the Boilermakers currently right now. They are ranked number 1 in the country and atop the Big Ten standings for the moment. Kyle, stay on the line. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, you'll be on with the coach. This is the Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. And this is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Too much analysis early from you.
A little bit, yeah. We took the over early.
They're going to play him straight up.
It is one-on-one. Edey wins the first.
And they've been working on that chest move.
Doesn't let you get to the line too much.
They got to flash that middle, even though Edey's low. And they do. Nice disperse.
Ethan Morton bags a three.
Oh, but that screen.
And then Edey repels that ball. And now Newman, who got knocked down, gets knocked down again.
How about this roadblock? Catch your chicklets. And, of course, the anticipated dive when they can get it. You need somebody else to get going here. Don't leave your feet.
Baker was fortunate there. Now that's denied by Mason Gillis, who starts the second half. So Gillis starts the second half instead of Caleb first.
Don't leave him alone.
Because of that.
Talk about a second half player, though. He's usually good giving it up early or late.
Morton missed it. taken by Michigan. Here comes Williams with the head up for Baker into the three, and it's blocked away by Lawyer.
No, that was
Gillis?
Gillis.
You lose one guy, and suddenly open look down the lane. 80 redirects it.
Nice tip to himself, Lawyer. Leading him to spots, beating him before he sets up, chesting him.
Jenkins knocks down a three.
I tell you, early in the year, this kid, he's making some shots. He's a confident player.
Mark that one. It was an 8-point game, 63-55. See if Purdue scores here. Kaufman ran a rim run and a foul.
Quite the same size. This kid's got a feel for the game. Whew. Little pocket pass right to the rim. The first time they played with the two bigs.
That's the first shot in 8 minutes for Kobe Buffkin.
Oh, what's this blow by? Ooh, crossover. Dynamite.
Welcome back to the Matt Painter Show, presented by GEMCO. GEMCO Constructors, supporting your Boilermakers, is the presenting sponsor of the Matt Painter Show. Proud partner of Purdue Athletics, GEMCO Constructors, boiler up. Live tonight at Walk-Ons here in the Purdue Memorial Union. Walk-Ons, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. We'll be back here next Monday night, the first Monday in February, as you can find us now for the rest of the season here on Monday nights with Coach Painter at 6 o'clock, live from Walk-Ons. Let's go to the phones. Again, the number 1-888-246-2678. Kyle from North Carolina joins us next. Kyle, welcome to the show.
Hey, Coach. Congratulations on a great season so far.
Thank you.
I have a quick question about the difference between spacing in the college game and in the NBA game. And if you could talk to us about that. We saw how Edey really excelled yesterday with it being wasn't getting double teamed. He was just one-on-one. How can you get that to happen more often?
Well, we have to get the other team to play him that way. And so, that's the whole, there's the whole adage, in practice you coach two teams, in games you coach one team. And, you just have to be prepared for whatever they throw at you. And the philosophy behind, what they did, you have to understand, Zach really struggled in the NCAA tournament against St. Peter's when they went one-on-one with him. He just did. And so when you can stay one-on-one, I talked about it earlier, your rebound balance is better, and then you can stay with those shooters. So if you kind of double or you mix it up or you do different things, and now Zach is scoring the basketball and we're getting those three-pointers and we're generating points or getting fouled a lot, then we're cooking the books on you. And you can't let that happen. So what people do is they pick their poison and say, we're going to live with him, take away those threes. Or they say, you know what, he's too much. He's going to foul out our whole team. He's going to shoot free throws. He's going to score it. So then they're going to double. And the thing that he's gotten good at, and he's not perfect. He still has games where, I think he had 5 turnovers 3 or 4 games ago. He'll still have those games where, but it's not always on him sometimes when we do things. So we have specific details how people handle that double, what we're supposed to do, so we all can stay on the same page. But he can just hold the basketball above his head, and a double team will come, especially when size doesn't come. So, if you bring a guard, it's like a mouse trying to mess with an elephant. It just doesn't bother him. But he just holds the ball there, and a lot of people kind of hurry at that time. And he's learned to be really patient. First of all, he believes they can't get the ball where he's holding it. Second of all, he's turned his body already, so you can't pass across your body. The one thing that you got to understand, it's when you're getting pressed. The number one thing that you do when you catch the ball versus a press is you square up and see your basket. Now it's 90 feet away, right? But you still square up. So the steal that we got at the end of the Ohio State game, go look at the player who catches the ball for Ohio State. He turns his body. And so you always tell the trappers to go and get him and hold your hands up and don't try to steal the ball from him, because they always call that foul whether you touch him or you don't. So just hold your hands up there, and then the next guy is going to split the difference between the two other guys, the inbound guy and the other guy, and then he reads what he does. Well, Ethan Morton read it perfectly because the guy didn't turn and look at his basket and square up. He throws the pass, but he telegraphed the pass. He steps in there and gets that steal. Well, the same thing holds true if you pass across your body. So right-handed people are going to pass over their left shoulder, and that's very natural. But if you get on the other block as a right-handed guy, you don't want to pass the ball across your body. So what we teach them on the other block is to face up and see it. So now you survey the land. You see everything in front of you. If you turn your body sideways, you're going to see a third of the floor or half of the floor. And then the other really half of the floor is going to get cut off. So that's where you see those pick six interceptions by the defenders that go and they shoot that gap and they get that steal. But if you open up or you turn on that strong side, you're going to see everything. And so he's just gotten really good at taking his time. And, you know, I know this is simple. When you're one-on-one, score, and when you're double-team, pass. But do it right away. Like, don't mess with it. Like, so right as they come, so if people, the first play of the second half against Rutgers, McKay came down there and just stood. And for whatever reason, Zach dribbled, and he just took the ball. Right as they commit to it, get the ball out of your hands. Because now if you overload a side, you can be 2-on-1 on the weak side. If you don't overload that side, now you can be 3-on-2. And now as that ball moves, you can get a shot, or you can get somebody into a closeout and you can drive the ball at that time. So there's a lot of things that are there. I talked about the rebounding, but the ball movement, the rotation, the open threes, the drives at that time, you got to learn to attack. It just opens up a big can of worms when they double, though, if they're not very good at it. And what happens is the people that don't double, once they do double, they're not that bad at doubling. They just aren't very good in the rotations. So as the ball moves, that's where you got to be able to communicate and get your rotations down. So what we try to do is we overload a side sometimes. We keep it a single side. We cut through sometimes. We dive our four a lot. We'll get screening action, and we'll mix it up. So whenever that happens, we've made that a call so he knows in his head where people are going to be. So we want that to be a known fact. We don't care if the defense knows it or not, but they're not going to be great at doubling. And the team that's given us the most problems is Nebraska at their place. But that's what Nebraska does. So if no matter what team they play, if you throw the ball in the post, they double from the baseline side. So Nebraska was good at it, but they also were good in their rotations. So now these teams that you face that don't double a lot, they're going to come and double. But now if the ball could move, their rotations, you really got to communicate and help each other, and you need a lot of reps with it. You just can't do it and practice for 2 days and be great. You can camouflage and make a couple good individual plays, but through the course of the game, you normally struggle, especially when you sub, especially when you can get into that bench. Normally those dudes are sitting over on that bench because they can't guard. That's normally what it comes down to with coaches. Like the guys over there don't guard as well as the guys in there unless you just got like a prolific scorer or somebody dominant like Zach.
Kyle, thank you for that call. More with Coach Painter in a moment. It's the Coach Painter Show brought to you by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Too much analysis early from me.
A little bit, yeah. We took the over early.
They're going to play him straight up.
It is one-on-one. 80 wins the first.
And they've been working.
Pretty good defensive instincts as a shot blocker.
Burry's his defender here because he dips in and locks you.
Spun to the ball there. Now leaning on Dickinson for 2 more.
And how patient is he, too? He's a powerful kid. A nice helping it. Morton with Edie.
And then they take it back again.
Shot by McDaniel. Too deep.
Right into Edie, and he somehow had enough.
Oh, how about that screen?
Two shooting, still looking for his first points. Walker slices in. My goodness!
Goodness, what he can do.
Open look down the lane. Edie redirects it.
Nice tip to himself, Lawyer.
Last game, he had a great impact without scoring. Today, he comes in off the bench and drills a 3.
Boy, another steal for...
Refeed Edie.
Cheddar did a nice job staying on first. This kid, got to keep this kid out of the lane.
Under the 5-minute mark before halftime. Smith to first. Boy, dropping a dime.
leading him to spots, beating him before he sets up, chesting him.
Jenkins knocks down a three.
This is a heck of an offensive player, Lawyer.
Look
at his step.
Oh, just rang it off the window.
He reached from the foul line. He gets some open floor opportunities. Back screen lob. Say goodnight. Lawyer, how about that? Yeah, this one, just as you meant, Lawyer, a terrific job.
Know what these two kids would be early on.
Nice play.
Eating on the catch and finish.
The offense overall is the assistants, but special situations.
Let's see how they attack him here.
Welcome back, everyone, to Walk-Ons. Everyone needs a little playing time, so before a Purdue basketball game or any time throughout the week, stop by Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. Up next for Purdue, it's another busy week. Saturday at Bloomington against Indiana. But first things first, Penn State, 6:30 Wednesday night at Mackey Arena. Coach, the second meeting with Penn State after beating them in Philadelphia 76-63, that first go-around. In that game, as you remember, Jalen Pickett was outstanding. 26 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. I'm assuming we'll try to limit him a little bit more this go-round because, man, he was good that game.
Yeah, he was really good. Almost has a triple-double. You can't forget we're down 6 at halftime. We probably play our best 10 minutes of basketball all year in the first 10 minutes of the second half. We really played well. We got some stops. We scored the basketball. Just did a lot of really good things. Fletch had a really good run there to start. Braden had some nice passes throughout the game for lobs. To Zach. Zach had a good game. But, Jalen Pickett's a tough cover. We didn't let Lundy and Funk get going. Both of those guys, make a lot of threes that are really good players. Even though, Lundy has 14 in the game, he took 15 shots. And so I think that's going to be key. Like they make around 10 threes a game, one of the best in the country, one of the best shooting teams in the country. They don't turn the basketball over. And can't let them get loose in transition for those threes. Can't let, Pickett get you deep on those dribble downs. You just have to be aware at all times. They will they played a bigger lineup against Michigan the other day. First time he started Hen, started Dorsey at the 5 and 4. First time he had that combination, played Lundy at the 3. Just a pretty tough matchup right there, going against Michigan. And they had a 41-11 run in the game against Michigan. So when they get going, I don't know if people watch the Penn State-Indiana game, like they were just outstanding offensively. I mean, the way they can get going at home and shoot the basketball. And now, coming on the road, you got to be there. You can't help them. You turn the basketball over, you're helping them. Don't help them. You just can't let them get open looks at the basket, and you just got to know where Pickett and Lundy and Funk is at all time. But they have a good team. Dredd is a guy that's been around forever that can shoot the basketball. They have a lot of good pieces. He mixes up, who he's going to go with, from the bench standpoint. There'll be a guy that might play 15 minutes, and then the next game he might not play very much at all. So he really, after he gets past his top, 4 players, he really tries to go and search out, what lineups would be the best against certain teams. So we could see a lot of different things. But they had success against Michigan, and Hunter didn't get a lot of cracks out. He didn't finish the game, so I don't know if he got hurt or what happened. But they had success in that game, and they really scored the basketball too. So, we're going to have to be prepared.
That is 6:30 Wednesday night, fans. Mackey Arena, Purdue and Penn State. Our final segment of the Matt Painter Show, presented by GEMCO. When we come back on the Purdue Global Sports Network, this is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Always a lot of movement, Jay, with this team on offense.
Great job cutting it in.
5 to shoot. Jenkins. Got it.
Got to keep this kid out of the lane.
Under the 5-minute mark before halftime. Smith to first. Oh, dropping a dime to Edey. Masterfully done by First.
The pass that leads to the pass. Moving large. Send it in.
Hauser, if you've just joined us, 0 of 2 shooting, still looking for his first points. Walker slices in. My goodness.
Goodness, what he can do. Great poise, balance.
Guys, tells me he's not going to be accepting of that. Michigan State has a couple of fouls to give here. 5 seconds. Smith, Jenkins, he buries it.
Gotta keep this kid out of the lane. He's got some magic. Nice replays. Jenkins, number 14. Future analyst.
Jenkins on a 3.
Pressure. So it's got to be sound defense on this end and maybe get some open floor opportunities. Back screen lob. Say goodnight. Lawyer. How about that? And this one, just as you meant, Lawyer, a terrific job.
Team possibly have been unranked to begin the season, and the main reason was their guards. People didn't know what these two kids would be early on.
Nice play.
Eating on the catch and finish.
The offense overall is the assistants, but special situation.
What a matchup developing between those two on the box.
How about the balance? Great hustle by Ray.
Here comes Lawyer, weaving through traffic all the way to the right.
Final segment of the Matt Painter Radio Show, live from Walk-Ons tonight. I think most of you may have seen this on social media earlier in the day, but if not, when David Jenkins Jr. hit that three-point bucket at the end of the first half yesterday at Mackey Arena, it was the loudest recorded decibel level ever in Mackey Arena, 123.2. That was the decibel level. 123.2 when DJ knocked down that triple. So my nugget for tonight, I got to looking just how loud really is 123.2. I mean, seriously. Here's how loud it is. If you were standing next to a chainsaw with absolutely no ear protection, that would be at 110. Decibel level there, 110. So if you've ever been around a chainsaw, right, 110. If you're standing on the street and an ambulance passes by, not in your car with the window rolled up, but you're just there on the street, ambulance passing by, the ambulance sirens are about 120 decibels, about 120. So to compare what would 123.2 would be, it would be roughly the equivalent to standing right beside a jackhammer with no ear protection, just standing right beside a jackhammer. That would be roughly at about 123.2. So you can impress your friends with that tomorrow. What I found the most amazing, though, when I was studying this earlier today, and I did study, the noise level that's considered intolerable, in other words, we can't stand it, we have to cover our ears, is 150. So we weren't that far away from literally being intolerable at Mackey Arena yesterday. Well done. In the whiteout, by the way. Does that make it white noise? Probably not. Well, some people laughed at that. Thanks. I worked on that joke all day, by the way. Big thank you to Ethan Sargent, our in-studio engineer today. Thanks to Wes Scott, engineering on site. Thanks to all everyone who joined us here tonight at Walk-Ons, 6:30 Wednesday night, Purdue and Penn State. I hope you join us. I'm Rob Blackman. Have a great night, everyone.